Hi everybody, today's video is going to cover the last part of this chapter, and so we're going to follow up our work with graphing linear inequalities, and today we're going to focus on how do you write a linear inequality if you're given a graph. So we're just doing the reverse of what you've been working on for the last couple of days. So here's the basic steps for writing a linear inequality. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify the slope and the y-intercept of the line. And so in order to find the slope, we're going to pick out two nice points on the graph, and we're going to use rise over run to come up with that slope. To identify the y-intercept, we're going to find where the line crosses the y-axis. And as we go through an example, we'll kind of refer back to these steps. So, first thing is just getting the slope and the y-intercept. The next thing we have to do is determine whether the shaded area is above or below the line. So for above, if I notice that the shaded area is above, that means my inequality symbol is either going to be greater than or equal to. If my shaded area is below the line, I know my symbol is going to be less than or equal to. And then for step 3, we're going to determine whether the line is solid or dotted, or dashed, however you like to think about that. Now, if it's a solid line, that means my inequality is either greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. If it's dotted, I'm going to have a strictly greater than or a strictly less than. So let's go ahead and do two examples to put this all together. Okay, so our directions say to write the linear inequality for the following graphs. So I know if I refer back to step 1, the first thing was to find the slope and the y-intercept of our line. So to the side here, I'm going to put my m and my b. So I'm going to find my y-intercept first. I know that has to be the point on the y-axis where my line crosses. So I notice that point is right here. So my b, I'm below the x-axis, so that's going to be a negative 4. Now I'm going to find another point on the graph that looks like a nice point. So it actually looks like here it goes nicely through the grid. So then for slope, I'm going to use rise over run. So in this case, I go up 2 and over 1, which is going to give me a slope of 2. So now I know at least part of my equation has to be 2x minus 4. That's my mx plus b. I know I start with a y, and now it's really just a question of figuring out what symbol that is. If I look at the shaded area here, if I think about walking along this line, I notice that the shaded area is below. So I know that I'm either less than or equal to. So the last thing I do is I look at whether my line is solid or dotted. Since in this case it's dotted, I know I have to be strictly less than, so that's the symbol I'm going to choose. This one's out. So my inequality is going to be y is less than 2x minus 4. And I'm just going to make a note. This was because it was dotted. All right, let's do one more. So again, the first thing we do is we identify our slope and our y-intercept. In this case, I can see I crossed the y-axis here at a positive 1. If I look for another nice point, that looks like that happens here. So in this case, I'm going down, so my rise is a negative 1. And my run is 1, 2, 3 to the right, so that's a positive 3. Whoops, sorry, that went off the screen there. So I know I have y, and then I have negative 1/3 x plus 1 because that was a positive 1. And again, now our job is to find out about the symbol. So in this case, if I have my line here, I'm shaded above now. So if I'm shaded above, that means I'm greater than or equal to. When I look at my line, I notice that I have, in this case, a solid line, so that means I have to be greater than or equal to. So my inequality here is going to be y is greater than or equal to negative 1/3 x plus 1. So as always, you'll have a chance to practice this in class tomorrow, but that's just a quick video to get you prepped. So I hope you have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow.